And yet, why should they be concerned when they hear nothing from the adults that warn them of what's coming? When a child is captured by witchcraft, they rarely choose to get out until very much later in their life, after they have lived a very miserable existence.
The giant introduces Harry to the paraphernalia of witchcraft that Harry is going to now use in his boarding school, Hogwarts. And this is done in Diagon Alley, which is a sort of spiritual, occult supermarket, flea market, if you will, a street filled with shops of cauldrons, owls, robes, wands, all the paraphernalia that is used today by witches in their rituals and ceremonies and spells today. So the reader is vicariously introduced to the tools of the trade that form the basis of the religion of witchcraft. Many have argued that Joanne Rowling is not teaching the children witchcraft and the books are not about witchcraft because the spells aren't legitimate spells and because J.K. Rowling just pulls out very, very funny Latin words, and she obviously knows her Latin, and she's very humorous with the way that she tosses out expelloramus, which gets rid of a spell, or any of the other numbers of spells that she puts in Latin.
Petrificus totalis.
The principle is that if you learn certain words, you can have power. And the books, the Harry Potter series, are connected to websites that get you into arenas where there are experts at teaching you the spells, the legitimate spells. What the reader is being introduced into in Harry is that there is legitimacy in rituals and spells, which are a sort of another word, let's say, of repetitive prayers, as Jesus said in Matthew, that don't be like the Gentiles and the pagans that just repeat their prayers for what they want.
Queen of heaven, Queen of hell, horned hunter of the night, lend your power unto our spell, and work our will by magic right.
This is what spells are, repetitive prayer, which sort of induces a self-hypnosis that gives you the idea that your inner potential power, your psychic abilities, can bring about what you are visualizing in your head. While love spells probably isn't the focus of Harry's books right at the moment, because he's 11, 12, 13, in book 4 there is a sort of beginning of a relationship that Harry is involved in, a sort of affectionate opposite sex thing. But love spells are very, very, very important in witchcraft. In fact, because it is a fertility cult, the concept, the focus in on sex and cosmic union for power is one of the important aspects of witchcraft. So it is no wonder that many, many teenagers are being lured into witchcraft through, in a sense, the magic of love. They want the boy they want, or they want the girl they want, and so they get involved in spells. And the websites are also pushing the fact of teaching children love spells.
As above, so below.
Then, of course, Hollywood glamorizes the whole concept, and through this film, The Craft, you can see that here where the girl wants to have her boy, she gets involved in this ceremony, very powerful ceremony, calling down the love spirits, and of course she gets the boy she wants, and he doesn't know what is happening and why he is being seduced in a sense through his spirit, how this happened, but there it is again showing that spells work.
I drink of my sisters, and I ask to love myself more and to allow myself to be loved more by others. Especially Chris Hooker.
I know, it's pathetic.
Definitely pathetic.
Well, it's just that, you know, I can't stop thinking about you, and I don't know why, but I think I love you. And I've never loved anyone before, except, well, maybe my mom, and well, this little puppy that I had when I was little.
I think you should go home, Chris.
No, Sarah, wait. Please, Sarah, please. Look, I don't know what's happening to me. I can't eat. I can't sleep.
Can I help you?
No, nobody can help me.
Then there's the concept of curses. Now, of course, white witches, or those that purport to be on the white side of the occult or hidden knowledge, will say that they don't use curses in a derogatory way. However, Harry symbolizes white magic, and Harry uses curses or his magic for vengeance. When his auntie says something horrid about his dead mummy and calls her a name that Harry doesn't like, he does magic on her, and she blows up. She gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that is very, very cruel magic, and that is a curse, and the sort of extension of spells that Harry is learning. So the reader is learning that they can be involved in vengeance through curses, and perhaps the curses in Harry Potter's books aren't legitimate curses, but once again, they can go to the websites to get legitimate curses. But the point is that here is a practice that God finds so distasteful, because he says that vengeance is mine, and we are not to retaliate and cause poison through curses to our enemies. Harry Potter isn't the only book that's going on and on teaching the readers that curses have power. Hollywood also is showing us that curses have power. There's this graphic scene in The Craft that shows that a girl has upset another girl, and so there's a little braiding in the scene here that she wants to put a curse on her through her hair falling out, and through the power of the curse and the rituals and whatever words are used, the hair falls out, and this girl is screaming and writhing and says she doesn't know what's happened, and of course she has no idea of the curse, but what's being told to the viewer is that there is power in curses, there is power in magic.
Many parents don't recognize the danger of witchcraft because they look at their experience and they didn't experience that when they were growing up. They relegate witchcraft to Africa or some foreign country. They don't know how pervasive it is today in the youth culture. I know a 9-year-old girl in a Christian school who said, "I love Harry Potter. I've always wanted to be a witch. I want to have the same power he has." The daughter of a pastor wakes up at night dreaming of being able to use the same powers as Harry. She's grown up in the church. She even witnesses to people who are in Wicca, but does not recognize what she's dreaming about is to actually use demonic power. I had a young youth pastor tell me recently about a girl who came to be part of his youth group, but she was also part of Wicca. She began recruiting children out of his youth group. He wasn't aware that those in Wicca take great joy out of seducing Christian children into Wicca. But Christian children are usually easy prey, for they don't understand witchcraft or what to look out for. Why has God warned us of witchcraft? He knows the dangers. He knows the spirits behind witchcraft. He knows they're out to kill, destroy, and rob people of their life. He knows that those who use the power of witchcraft have opened themselves up to these powers to come into them and to control them. And when they open themselves up to these spirits, they find themselves doing obsessive compulsive things such as drugs and sex and alcohol and many other destructive and violent activities. It's interesting that on the one hand they sought this power to have control, and in the end they've lost control of themselves.
One of the arguments is that Harry Potter's series does not actually teach witchcraft, that there's no celebration of seasons. That is not true. By not using the seasonal terms, the argument is that there's no celebration. The Harry Potter series celebrates Halloween, which is a seasonal festival. While it's been given a Christian name, it is still a seasonal festival. In fact, at Halloween time, there are deaths and murders in bloodshed, and Halloween is considered a very important time to have blood sacrifice. So here we see very terrifying elements of the dark side of seasonal worship in Harry Potter, lightened up, given a frivolity, called the Christian holidays, so it covers for the seasonal holidays.
I can't really say when I became interested in Wicca, because it's always been part of me, part of my roots. I love Halloween. I think I'm a very autumn person. We dress up the house with cobwebs and so on, and we cast a circle, and we have a smoky cauldron, and we all scry, which means do clairvoyance, into the smoke which comes out of the cauldron. And we open the gates of the underworld. And if any spirits want to come forward and speak, we listen to them.
My first initiation, when I became first degree, was on Halloween. And I felt very, very much in tune with the God.
Foundational to the philosophy of witchcraft is reincarnation. And it is very, very important to understand this, because this is the concept of there not being the finality of death, that the soul, the spirit, comes back into a new body after it dies. And throughout Harry Potter's books, ghosts are called for, there are supernatural spirits that come back, there are paintings where people come out of the paintings along the corridors of Hogwarts. All of this gives the child the concept that there is no death, that it's perfectly normal interacting with spirits, with ghosts, with things that look half human, half animal, mythological figures that, like the unicorns and the creatures that Hagrid has in his class of mythical creatures. All these things fire up the imagination of the young reader to think that when they get involved, that they're not fearful of it because it's part of Harry's world, it's part of Hogwarts, and so the element of fear is taken away. Those who say that Harry Potter's books do not teach witchcraft don't understand that one of the essentials of witchcraft is that there is no good or evil. There is no right or wrong. It is as you perceive it. So there's a sort of relativism that in your situation, if you do one thing, or in my situation, if I do a different thing, we're both doing the right thing, even if it's wrong. There are no absolutes. It's based on the concept of evolution, that everything is developing. And as we are taught the concept of evolution, which again is synonymous with reincarnation and things are developing, so we get that there is no absolutes. There is no right, there is no wrong. In fact, throughout the books, Harry is rewarded when he deliberately lies or deliberately does something wrong. Instead of the teachers expelling him, which Harry thinks he's going to be expelled for something he did wrong, he is rewarded. So when he goes onto a broomstick, when his teacher tells him not to go onto the broomstick, and he does in defiance, he is rewarded for disobedience by being put onto the Quidditch team.